Hey guys, Lasher Luke here, and before we get into the review today, I just want to make a few announcements. As you could probably tell, it's come out again a little bit late, this review, but that's because on Monday, when I was originally going to film the review, I had a lot to do, and by the end of it, I was just exhausted. And I know that's a bit harsh on you guys having to wait a little bit longer, but you have to understand, I want to do this review when I'm at my absolute best. I don't want to make it half-assed, because if I make it half-assed, then that's, again, unfair on you guys. You want to see, like, a proper review, like, when I'm at my best with my most energy to give my thoughts on the review. And also, I want to go back a little bit of what I said in regards to this being the final arc. And like I said, just because this is the final arc doesn't mean we're going to be anytime soon. Like, look at Gintama, and well, we know the joke is now that Gintama's just moving. It wasn't ending necessarily, it was just moving. But even though it might still be in the final arc, the final arc's been going on for many years at this point. The same thing with Bleach. Even though Bleach had its final arc, that was long. That was like 200 chapters long. So this may be the same case here with The Promised Neverland. So we might be here for another 4 years doing this, and I'm going to be still doing these reviews until something else comes up. But also as well, on Monday, we were clearing out this place. We were doing a lot of clearing out because we're trying to get rid of a lot of stuff in here so that we can have it be more wide space to have even more space, and that gives me a chance to do more areas of the room of the basement that I'm currently doing these reviews in as well. But anyway, that's all I wanted to say, and like I said, I wanted to be at my best because this chapter, oh anyway, let's get on with it. Alright, so this will be chapter 103 review, titled One More Step. Wow, so it must be one more step for the kids and one giant leap for the demon kind. I just wanted to do like a one small step, one giant leap for mankind thing, considering that movie's coming out, the movie that's based on the first Landing on the Moon with Ryan Gosling as Neil Armstrong, which I may go and see, I might not go and see. I'm not sure because I'm not really that big of a Ryan Gosling fan, so it might be just a case of I just not interested in seeing it, but maybe we'll see. But anyway, let's get into it. Now, with this chapter, we go back a little bit more in time, like I said, because we've had the pacing over the past few chapters. They're kind of like going back in time and showing us different perspectives from the different areas. When the kids went into the demon city, we're getting it from their perspective. We had the perspective of the demons in the last chapter, now we're getting perspective of the kids now when they actually got into that town, which is, like I said, is a really great idea for this series. Like we've skipped over a lot of stuff, but we're going back and seeing the most important things through flashbacks so that it's not bogging down the story and making it seem pointless. We're actually getting to the meaty bits, and the meaty bits that we skipped over that seemed the most interesting, we're actually going back in time and seeing them through flashbacks, which is really interesting. But anyway, we start off with the chapter. And like I've said, I'm not doing panel shots, so you're going to have to go and read the chapter itself and follow along with my review. So anyway, we're starting off the chapter with a shot of an owl flying off, which is very interesting because that's been one of the symbols of the entire series up until this point. Like, you know how the Morse code and William Minerva and all the books they had, the symbol that he had on it was an owl, and to think it's taken this long to actually see a proper owl in this series is pretty interesting, but it also kind of leads to a bit of a turning point when, because owls are meant to be this angelic, innocent creatures, and we see the owl flying off, which in my opinion shows that something bad is going to happen, and yes, it is. But anyway, we'll also cut to Pepe monitoring the outside of the bunker, which is great. That it shows the community that they've established, that they're taking turns to monitor the activity that's going on outside. But as we go through this chapter, that is probably going to go to shit by the end of it. Oh, and something else I forgot to mention just now. It says here that it's October 2047, which is a bit of a continuity error, because in the last chapter, it said that the time that they took to get back to the bunker, it was November 2047, or it was November 2047 when that those demon children are actually discussing things. So I don't know. Can somebody actually look into this? Because I'm pretty sure it does say November 2047, and that was like a year and 7 months after the Goldie Pond incident. And now it seems like we're sort of like going back in time. I don't know, it might be a continuity error. They might have to actually look into this, or it might actually be in the Tonkabons, when we actually get the Tonkabon of this chapter, it might be corrected. I don't know, but that's something I just wanted to bring up as kind of like a little bit of a oil in this chapter. I mean, I still love this chapter. It's still a great chapter, like all the other chapters. There hasn't been a chapter of The Promised Neverland that I've just straight up hated. There have been some chapters that have been chapters that have not been as good as others, but the chapters have all been interesting. They've all had something that's made me kept reading. But this here, yeah, we kind of have to call out on this one that it might be an actual continuity error. So anyway, we cut to the kids around the table after Emma and her group returned from this demon village, and they've said, like, so did you find any hints on anything? And we see Emma and Ray smirk to each other and said, yeah, we found the golden water and found the second temple. And then we cut to them. Well, as I said, we go back in time and we see the events of the last chapter from their perspective, like the events of the flashback of the last chapter from their perspective, and we see all the kids and we get like little pictures of them to indicate which demon mask they're actually under, which is very helpful, because we didn't know at the beginning who was actually under those masks. So it's very good that we actually get panels and we actually get pictures of them showing like who is who underneath those masks. So we get the title page which displays Emma saying, "This is it, the temple I saw back at Kutavadilia." That word I cannot pronounce, so don't question me on pronouncing that word because I am just gonna ignore it. But anyway, looking at the temple, it's pretty interesting because it's got like these four like cage areas around them, around like this big monument that's standing right there, stab in the center, which could give them clues as to finding the location or actually getting into the location of this so-called demon god. If that creature that we saw a few chapters ago really is the demon god, this might be the main clue to actually getting into discussing a new promise with them. So anyway, as Dawn and Gilda are getting all excited and saying, "We made it, we found it, yay, we did it," we see Violet trying to shush them because as we all know, even though they are in disguise, they're still human and they're still in major demon territory, enemy territory, which just shows how much calmer Violet is and how much more reserved she is, because if she was in the same position as them, as Dawn and Gilda, then they might have blown their cover at this one moment and they might have all been for nothing in the end. And that's what I love about the dynamics, how we're getting different dynamics through each of the various characters and how they're really playing off for each other, especially this group of Dawn, Gilda, Ray, Emma, Violet and Zack, how they're really all playing off each other and they're all really working together as a team, but they still have their own personalities that sometimes come out in small doses that they really have to rein back in and remind them, like, look, even though we're excited, we're still in enemy territory, so we have to keep going. But anyway, we see Ray going on to say that he's still glad that they were able to find it based purely on Emma's memory, which just shows just how much more faith that Ray is actually putting in Emma and how much she really has grown. Like, compare Emma to the beginning of the series, how she was very happy-go-lucky, very upbeat, and compared to her now, how she's being, even though she still has that very upbeat personality, she's very resourceful at this point, and she's able to have that photographic memory and keep up and remember things that most of us would probably forget about. And that's what I've loved about how her character has grown very subtly, and some people may have not seen that and probably would have described her as boring, but I want to go back and compare Emma at the beginning of the series to where she is now. Like, even though she has the traits that she started at the beginning of the series, she's much more matured and much more grown up and much more able to make more rational choices, which I feel is going to come into play and going to bite her back in the arse as much sooner rather than later at this point. So anyway, moving on, all the kids are still discussing things and they see someone that's up there, like, watching the actual temple, like, guarding it, and they have to be really quick at this point, so they continue their journey up the stairs, and the next few pages is nothing really majorly happening. It's just showing the kids just climbing up these stairs, but also showing that there are other demons still around them, which again just adds to the tension of this scene. Even though there's no dialogue in these next two pages, it's still very tense that they could be spotted at any moment, and at any moment any of them could go. Of course, we know that that's not the case because this is being told in flashback and they're all back at the base, but still it's a very tense scene that they could have actually been discovered, and they might have actually been, considering what happens in the next few pages, like at the end of the chapter. I know that I'm being vague about it, but people at this point have probably read the chapter and know what's going to go on at the end of the chapter, which I'm really looking forward to talking about as we get to it. But anyway, still, like I said, this is a really intense scene, and even though there's no dialogue, it just speaks volumes. Like, sometimes actions speak louder than words, and this is a perfect example of it. Like, even though there wasn't dialogue, I was still on the edge of my seat wondering if they are going to be spied as they're going up these stairs to this temple. Okay guys, I apologise about this sound that's happening on the wall here, but there's nothing I can do about that, so try to ignore that and let's continue. Alright, so they reach the top of the temple, but as they discover that because the temple is sealed shut, all the areas are sealed shut, they can't get into anywhere, but they do manage to find a shrine and this like demon statue holding this human in its arms, and they both have no faces, and one of the pictures of the shrine is actually the pendant that Emma wears, the one that Musica gave her, which just shows that this may be the area that all the kids have to escape to and actually go to, and they actually have to perform this ritual because to get to another area, like in Fullmetal Alchemist, this is going back to Fullmetal Alchemist, how they had to perform the Alchemist Circle in order to go in and speak to God itself, like Truth, which was God in that universe. I feel like there's going to be something that's similar happening here, where they have to all band together, they have to all create this ritual circle, and some of the kids might not be able to actually get in to meet the Demon King. I mean, obviously Emma's going to meet her, Ray probably, and Don and Gilda. They're probably going to be the four that are actually going to meet them and discuss this promise. And I feel like that's going to happen in the next few chapters. It might not happen for a while, it might not happen for another 20 chapters, but it's going to happen sooner rather than later, that they're going to actually have to find the Demon King and actually create a new promise. But like it's been saying, like Songju brought it up, they've already made an enemy of God, so it might not go as well as they expect. So anyway, as they're all looking around and discovering what the hell it is, what is going on here, what are all of these shrines and everything, we see that Violet pulls them over, and we see this other shrine which has a humanoid figure that doesn't have a face, and it looks really skinny, and it has hold on, let me check. It has 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. It has six fingers. So yeah, this probably is the physical representation of the Demon King that we actually saw. And like I've been saying in the last few videos that I've done on the Promised Neverland, like I've said before, this pretty much is cementing my facts that these demons might not actually be demons. There might be a mutation and an evolution of humans, because as you can see from this humanoid figure here, even though it doesn't have a face, it still has like the lingering body. It has the body of a human. It has 2 arms, 2 legs. It has like the physical body of a human. So that's pretty much what I feel like is going on here. Like the demons are actually a mutation of the humans, and they've actually evolved to the next step of humanity. So they might actually be sort of like the creatures that are actually going to be around for a long time, but maybe Emma might want to keep it as the way it is, and they might actually die out. It's sort of like, if you've ever watched I Am Legend, it's sort of the same thing, how there were mutants, that have slowly taken over the world, and humanity, the humanity that we know of, has become extinct. I'm talking about the proper ending, the one that was in the book, not the one in the movie, how these creatures have sort of like evolved and surpassed us in a way. I feel like this is the same thing here, like these mutant demon creatures, whatever they're called, have actually surpassed humanity and have actually sort of been taking our place, and it might not actually be it might actually be a bad thing in the end. It might actually be like, okay, we've got to accept that they are actually the ones that are going to be taken over, and we have to live with this. Which again just shows the greyness of the area, how there's not a clear-cut black and white, and it's pretty much proven this as well. Like some of the humans are just as evil as the demons, if not more. Like with Peter Rafari and with Crone and Isabella. Even though Isabella might not be evil, and she's only being evil for the sense that she's actually given up. Peter Rafari is certainly evil, certainly an evil bastard that needs to be taken care of, and possibly grandmother. And in the same way, like, not all demons are out to get the humans. Like Musica certainly isn't, although that might be coming to play a bit later on. And Songju at first might not have been, but he slowly warmed up to them. So I feel like there's going to be more grey areas that are going to be laid out as we go through this final arc. So anyway, as they go on to discuss the humanoid figure and discuss whether or not it is the actual Demon King, the one that we can't see the name of yet, which I'm really looking forward to find out what the actual name of the Demon King actually is. We see them saying, no, it can't be the same. I mean, it's similar, but it's a different structure, but it gives sort of the same atmosphere, but it might not be the same thing. And they conclude that nothing in this temple has anything in regards to the Seven Walls, which I find really disappointing, that they came all this way for nothing. And that's what I thought first, until they're actually looking around and they see like the ceiling of the temple, like the main temple area, is night and day. And then as they look over at the other temple walls, they see that it has golden water, which just shocks them all. Like, this is it. This is what they've come for. They've actually come to this place to search for golden water and search for the temple. So they've actually found it, like they've said before. And we might be getting some more information that we might find out later on in the chapter and further chapters as we go along. So anyway, that's the end of the flashback, and it cuts back to the kids discussing around the table, and Limey says, did you do it? Did you find it? Did you find a way to get in? And they say, yep. And we see them going, hurrah! And Emma goes, it's all thanks to you. And this past year, everyone has done their part. Oh my God, Emma, do not say that, because you know that people are gonna die at this point in time. Anytime, I think, Emma, you really need to understand that anytime somebody says, things are going well, this is going great, it's gonna go south really quickly, as we'll probably see in a few minutes' time. So anyway, they go on to say, only 2 months left. With this, we can make it in time. And Ray goes, yeah, we still can't escape just yet, but now that we are able to go to the day and night, we can go and forge a new promise. And like I said, even though Ray is sort of like getting the idea of maybe they can actually do it, like I said, they're enemies of the Demon King, so it's not going to go well. It's going to go south really, really quickly. And yeah, coming up, that might actually be more of a reality than we all like to admit. So as they're going on to say, one more step and we can reach it, a world where it won't be pursued, a future where the cattle children are free to live how they please. Hugo asks them, so how do we get in? And we see Emma pulling out a large jar of golden water, which is very interesting how she actually was able to get her hands on that. But all that comes into play when we see Pepe seeing something outside, and he races over to them, and this is where I was waiting for. Like, this is what I've been talking about, guys. As soon as Emma said that things are gonna go really well, it's all thanks to you guys. This past year, everybody's played a part. It's gonna go really south, and sure enough, it has done. As Pepe just sees something, and he's like, "Holy shit! I need to tell the others." As Emma tries to explain what they're gonna do with the golden water, we see Pepe just rushing, and we say, "Everybody, run! The enemy's attacking!" And then we see a big old explosion, just boom everywhere, and it's like, holy shit, this is gonna go south. This is gonna go south. I know I'm saying that really too much at this point, but yeah, we've had just chapters of just like, this has been relaxed, it's been fine. We've had like I'd say about close to nearly 10 chapters of just relaxation, of not really big action scenes, and then all of a sudden we get a big old explosion, and it's like, boom, oh my god, and I knew this was gonna come into play, especially when we find out who it is that's actually found them. So anyway, after we see that explosion, we see the person who was actually caused it, and we don't get their face at the moment, but as we see with their tapping their fingers, we know, oh my god, we know who it is. So anyway, they go on to say it was real pain having to read out the previous shelters, which again was like a really bit confusing. I thought like Peter Raffaello was going to bide his time, but no, he was really like going after it. It was probably like they just couldn't find it, as well as the other shelters, and he probably didn't have an idea of where his brother actually was, and that's why it took them the longest. But I would have preferred it if they actually waited until they're actually out of the shelter, and then it was a case of, right, we found you. It took us a while for you to come out, but we've actually found you, which might have actually raised some issues about why they didn't just go after them whilst they're outside the shelter. And that was the thing, that they probably couldn't find them. They probably couldn't find this particular shelter, but now that they found it, things are going to go really south really fast, like I've been saying. So anyway, we see that it's Andrew, and he goes, at last we have found you, and now ready yourselves to be slaughtered, in a very serious, very deadly tone, which just made me, oh my god, he is pretty much like Lewis. He's no balls for it. He's going after it. He wants to get these kids, because him, like Peter, doesn't want the promise to be broken, and he's going after these kids, and he's going to make sure that they are taken care of once and for all, and I'll be getting into that in a moment of what I think is going to happen in the next chapter, which comes out tomorrow. Yes, tomorrow. But like I said, I probably won't be working on the review until Monday or possibly Thursday. I feel like Thursday just gives me time to actually go away from it all, read it a few times, and then come back to it, and then be really excited and get all my thoughts accumulated. I feel like a week as opposed to just go straight into it after it's released. I feel like a week just makes it that much more exciting for you guys, because you know that I've had a week to actually get my thoughts together and get my energies up. So I feel like Thursday, but I'll try to get it out on Mondays. But I'm not promising anything. But Thursdays, I will definitely try and get it out. So I feel like that's a good day for me to actually get this out. But anyway, going on to say, the end of the chapter says, an overwhelming crisis invasion. Next issue to the children who spring up with hope. The Atari clan's evil grasp will, and then we don't get anything, and that's the end of the chapter. So it really wasn't really eventful chapter. There wasn't as much dialogue. It was mostly seeing the flashback that we saw last time from the perspective of the children and find out what they actually found, and then we get the ending where we see Andrew actually finding them, which just means that these next few chapters there's going to be a scramble to get everybody out before Andrew has a chance to actually know his guns, because I feel like even though Andrew feels like he's gonna be he feels like it might actually be something small and quick and deadly that he can actually get done. It's like, right, we found them, shoot them dead. I don't think it's going to be that easy for him, because like with the Lewis fight, even though it wasn't an easy victory for the kids, it wasn't an easy fight for Lewis. It actually took everything off him to actually put up a decent fight. And even though he lost in the end, he still put up a really decent fight. He gave it all his own. I feel like Andrew's going to really underestimate them and not think like maybe these kids are actually smarter than I give them credit for, which is probably going to come back to bite him in the arse later on. Even though I'm starting to really like his character, I'm starting to like him as a villain, how he's just so mysterious, but he's really threatening and he's really intimidating just from his facial expressions, and how he's similar to Lewis and Isabella, and it's sort of like it's combined the two of them. Like Isabella wasn't really much of I'm going to sort of like grab them as soon as I find out something about them. She was more like the chess master moving the pieces to her liking, whereas Lewis was more like, I'm going to go and really. I feel like Andrew is a perfect balance of them. Like he's manipulating, he's biding his time, and now that he knows certain things, he's going to go after it. I feel like that's what I've really loved about Andrew, is like combined Isabella and Lewis, two of the best villains that I've ever seen, and put them into one. So I feel like he's going to be intimidating in his own right, and certainly be a major threat coming up in these next few chapters. And I feel like these next few chapters, I feel like we are going to have some sacrifice. I feel like if anybody was going to die, I feel like Hugo was going to die. I feel like his story could conclude with him actually dying and him sacrificing himself, which just shows just how much he's grown as a character, starting off as someone who didn't really care if the kids died, and then sacrificing himself to make sure that the kids can actually get out and escape. And I feel like that's when we're going to find out what his whole deal, if he is actually related to Ray, if he is actually Ray's uncle, like I've been saying that he could possibly be Ray's uncle, and he could possibly relate to the Rifari line. But anyway, we'll see. So yeah, not really much to say on this chapter. It was a good chapter, but it was like really just like, okay, we're gonna slow it down, we're gonna get the information, then we're gonna grab you with a twist at the end that they've actually found it, and they're actually I feel like there's going to be more action packed in the next chapter, and I feel like there's going to be more awesome panels like the explosion panel, but we'll see where that goes. But anyway guys, what did you think of this chapter? Like, subscribe, comment. I know this review was kind of short compared to the last reviews that I've done, but I feel like this is all that needs to be said about this chapter. There wasn't really much to go on here, but anyway guys, what do you think? Let me know. Like, subscribe, all that jazz, and this will be Lasher Luke signing off. Later guys.